watching the Restoration Industry Book Review, a podcast that encourages roofers, flood and fire mitigation contractors to continually learn and grow to improve their businesses and lives. I'm Matt Danskin, a training consultant best known for teaching restoration contractors to consistently develop productive referral relationships with insurance agents. I'm sitting down with experts from across the industry to dive into the books that help them improve and make an impact on the restoration industry. All right, guys, we are back for episode 4 of the Restoration Industry Book Review. This week, we've got the book Drive by Daniel H. Pink, which gets into how people are motivated, the surprising truth about what motivates us. I've got a great list of guests this week. As always, I'm going to go ahead and bring these guys on and kind of go through some introductions so you guys know who you're talking to, or know who you're listening to at least. So let me go ahead and do that. We've got a few of these guys muted, so we'll have to come off of mute. But let me go ahead and start just in the order that you're showing up on here. Matt Gorman from the Gorman Group Insurance out in Raleigh, North Carolina. Thanks for coming on the show. Obviously, I told everybody who you are, but tell me a little bit about who you are, why you matter this to the restoration industry here.
One of the most important parts of our business is the clients. When those claims happen from any kind of hail damage, storm damage, any kind of natural disasters, usually the first person that we're looking for is somebody that's going to be reliable, someone that's going to be able to take care of our clients and their investments in their home and their property, and somebody who is relatable and easy to refer. So people that are in the restoration business, people that are in the roofing business, these are people that we are always looking for the best in our areas that we can, because we want to give our clients the best as well. So doing this for 8 years now, I can personally say some of the most important relationships I've had are with roofing companies and restoration professionals.
Very cool. I appreciate you being a part of this. I know most everybody who watches this and who's on this is roofers and restoration guys, but you're kind of on the other end of this. One of the 3 Matts on today's show, Matt Radford. Go ahead and tell everybody who you are, where you come from, man.
Sure. I'm Matt Radford. I'm Canadian. I'm the only Canadian here. I'm with roofer.com, and I've been in the roofing industry for 21 years. I started out doing industrial and commercial flat roofing for 14 years, and I've been a shingler for 21 years, and now I work for Roofer, and we provide satellite roof measurements for all of North America. We have consumer financing, and we also do organic lead generation for roofing contractors. We're roofers helping roofers. Our company was built by roofers, and we're here to serve roofing companies.
Awesome, man. And next down the list, Thomas from Yes, Your Exterior Solution Contracting.
Right. So that I threw you a curveball with that, because normally that's Yes Contracting Services, but no one knows what Yes stands for. It's actually an acronym, Your Exterior Solution. So I started this company 3 years ago, and we've exploded in growth, much like the next guest you're about to announce. And so we're excited to be on. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll go ahead and introduce Justin here as well.
Gosh, I got to go behind all these great intros. I don't know how I'm going to do I'm Justin Woodruff, owner of Ready Roofing Company in Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, technically Clayton, North Carolina, but I scaled a roofing business in 3 years in the insurance restoration industry and went from 0 to 7.5 million. And it's actually something I'm quite proud of. Built a hell of a team over at Ready Roofing, and the guys are still there to this day in 3 branches now in Williamsburg, Virginia, Wilmington, North Carolina, and Clayton, North Carolina, and doing an excellent job. And so, yeah, owner of Ready Roofing Company, man, just here to hang out for a little bit and talk about this book, which is just completely messed me all up. Goes against everything I stand for.
Right on. Yeah, that's in the title, right? The surprising truth about all this stuff. So I want to start off. I reached out to Thomas, which I've known Thomas since we were both 18 years old, running around the campus of Lee University, chasing girls, fishing, working at the warehouse together. So we've known each other for a really long time. But I reached out to him looking for a suggestion for a book. And this was what he came back with right away. And I've been to his business out there in Johnson City, Tennessee. And I've never seen, I work with a lot of roofing companies. I've never seen a roofing company that is structured the way that they are and incentivizes people the way that they are. And once I read this book, I began to understand why. And so, Thomas, I want to start off with you. Tell me a little bit about when you first read this book and, what that meant for you and what you've been doing with it.
Yeah, so I was actually thrown a curveball when I was told to read this book. My CPA said, "Hey, you need to read this book about motivating your employees." And then, at first I'm thinking, yeah, you just give them more money. That's how you motivate your employees.
Right.
And just like what Justin said, it's like this book has completely destroyed everything that I thought about motivating my employees. And during this, I want to talk about some of the things that we've incorporated. And it was a real eye opener on it's not always about the money. Obviously, everyone on here has read the book. You have to have a baseline of rewards. People have to live comfortably, but what's above and beyond that, it's surprisingly not always about the money.
Absolutely.
Put my earpiece back in here.
So I want to real quickly here. I'm going to share a clip from the book to give all our listeners who haven't read the book a little just kind of recap of what's going on, the trailer, so to speak. So I'm going to go ahead and share this over. You guys go ahead and listen in.
Human beings have a biological drive that includes hunger, thirst, and sex. We also have another long recognized drive to respond to rewards and punishments in our environment. But in the middle of the 20th century, a few scientists began discovering that humans also have a third drive, what some call intrinsic motivation. For several decades, behavioral scientists have been figuring out the dynamics and explaining the power of our third drive. Alas, business hasn't caught up to this new understanding. If we want to strengthen companies, elevate our lives, and improve the world, we need to close the gap between what science knows and what business does.
So that just real quickly is the gist of this whole book. That's what it's all about. And he takes a lot of time building that case and explaining why that is true. And I know for me, I talked to some of you guys about this. The litmus test for me was looking at this in terms of my children. I've got 3 kids, and you have to motivate your kids. Motivate your kids to get dressed in the morning, take out the trash, do their homework, whatever it is. And I was a little bit concerned. I try to check my own motives when I hear a new idea. When I heard this, like, hey, people aren't necessarily motivated by money. You don't have to give them more money. And I'm like, oh, cool. That means I get to keep more of the money and not pay it to them, right? But I thought about this, and as he builds that case as to why this really is true and why it is really best for that person, I tend to believe the case that he makes there. And so when I look at what am I going to do for my kids, Like, am I going to incentivize my son with $1 to go take out the trash? Like, I am beyond generous with my kids. I love my kids. I'll give them everything, the shirt off my back. And so if I understand that's not the best thing for them, then I'm not going to give them that $1 because not because I want to keep the $1, but because I want the best thing for them. And so I think that carries across with your employees. Like you said, you got to get that baseline. They've got to have live comfortably, live okay, or whatever. But that's not always the best way to motivate them. And as he says, it can actually make things worse. Guys, I'll throw this question out there. I know all of you guys kind of deal with this in a different way. Between Matt, and Justin, whoever wants to tackle, what are you seeing in your business that you're going to do differently based on this new information?
I would just say like the no more carrot and sticks and sort of the dangling of the carrot. Like, hey, if you do good, you're going to get rewarded with money. Money. Find other ways to motivate. And honestly, for me, that's tough because coming into the restoration industry and growing so quickly like we did, that's always been a good motivator. Like, hey, fast path to success is to go out there and sell these roofs. We're going to train you, educate you, and one byproduct of this is going to be all the money you're going to make. Want to pay off your house? Go sell more roofs. You got a bad day? Go sell more roofs. You got a headache? Go sell some roofs. It's like I've just sort of always been that way. To be honest with you. And so I would say in terms of doing things differently, I would do that differently for sure, and then reward them in some other way, but also talking about some of the things that happens, when you do the carrot and sticks, the dangling and the money motivation is encouraging cheating and shortcuts. I've seen that happen. So at one point in time, we actually didn't have a project manager, believe it or not, for years, and we relied on the salesman to do that. And sometimes the salesman may, take shortcuts and things like that, so they can get paid and move on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one. So there's really no incentive there, and money wouldn't solve it. And so I can see that now, after reading the book. So I would say doing things differently. Ultimately, I don't really have a plan, but I can tell you I'll definitely be viewing things differently for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So over to Matt and Matt here, guys. What stuck out to you most in this book? What was the biggest revelation you've seen?
Well, for me, you want to go? You go ahead. We'll go alphabetical order.
I've got the. I'm gonna steal the purpose part of the book, because I feel like a lot of the sales training motivation stuff that I'm tapping into, a lot of Simon Sinek type things talk about purpose driven motivation, being a part of something bigger than yourselves. I feel like all of our industries, there's a service aspect that takes care of the client, or we have the opportunity to do what's best for the client versus what's best for us or our companies or our wallets. If we always put the purpose of serving the client the best possible way, I feel like referrals, repeat business, marketing and promotions, all of that stuff is going to take care of itself. If we do that internally with our employees as well, trying to show them not necessarily how to make that extra 2% or 1% or 5%, but how to get that Yelp review just because you picked up the phone and made that extra phone call once the job is done, or sent that thank you card, or finding that purpose in the pleasure of doing the best job possible, or doing the job better than everybody else on the block that's your competition. There's so much more reward there than an extra $100 in your bank account, which you're going to spend over the weekend because you can go out to eat and get a steak and hang out with the family. These are intrinsic things that are going to stick with you for a longer period of time, make you feel better as a person, make you have more buy-in to your job and your career, even your leadership and your owners and leaders in the company.
Right on. All right.
Very well said.
Well said, indeed. Matt Radford, lay on, man.
Well, going from an employee standpoint, like back when I started roofing, 21 years ago, when I was being a laborer, I had to do ground cleanup and stuff like that. I would go out of my way to do a bang up job, clean up the property, because I like the satisfaction of doing the homeowner solid. I'm cleaning it up better than it was before I even got there. But over time, as I was incentivized more and more with money, I got more away from that and more away from, I got to bang these bundles on so I can get paid by the bundle, right? And I've seen it, like what Justin was saying, with guys cutting corners. They're getting paid by the bundle. They got to get out there and bang on as many as they can. They actually start cutting corners so they can get that carrot. They're chasing after that carrot on a stick. And even when I started working for Roofer, I still kind of had that mentality. I got to get paid. I got to earn those commissions. But I'm very grateful to our CEO, Richard. He's helped me rethink my values and think about what encourages me and motivates me. It's not so much money anymore. It's serving roofers. I've been around the block. I've been in the industry 21 years. And especially when COVID-19 hit, I saw roofing companies going out of business across the country, both Canada and the United States. People getting laid off and losing their jobs. So I've had to switch from that chasing the carrot mentality to, these people need our help. And that is much more rewarding at the end of the day than any dollar value.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that stuck out to me is he talks about the difference between algorithmic tasks and heretical tasks. So the difference between something that is maybe as simple, well, I wouldn't say putting on a roof is simple. Let's say cleaning up around the house. That's simple. Get all the trash, get all the nails, put them in the dumpster. It's work in the drive-through. There's a lot of jobs where there's not a lot of thought into it. Thomas, from our background, when we were in college, stacking the boxes in the warehouse, unloading trucks or whatever. It is mindless, stupid work. And so that does respond better to just, hey, I'll give you more money. The more you produce, the more you do this little blanket task, versus something that is more on the creative end. And I think as entrepreneurs, we all have to engage that creativity, because we're faced with complex problems that there's not just, a simple solution to. We've got to look at it from a lot of different angles, a lot of different areas to make that work. Going back, kind of circling back around the wheel here, to Thomas. Thomas, I know we've talked a little bit about this, but I think I talked to a lot of roofers, and the great majority of them have a bunch of 1099 guys. They're all commission. Either you're making me money or you're on the street. I don't care. And your business is so different. How many employees do you have right now?
So right now I've got, I think 50 plus W-2 employees and another 10 that are in a work program as well, that work for us every day. And okay. So we do business much different than the storm industry. Very different than most retail roofers as well. I mean, you find very few contractors that have W-2 employees these days. And I'm not saying 1099 is the wrong route. I just felt like as a business owner, I want to do things what I feel like is the absolute best for my employees. And so I chose the route of W-2. We've got commissioned salesmen, we've got project managers, we've got division managers. And, when I read this book, I was inspired to do a couple different things. And I'll just go into that if you're okay with it.
Yeah.
But one of the things, so I read this book almost probably close to a year now ago. And one of the things that I started almost immediately was unlimited paid time off for my managers. So if they're in a salary position in my company, they have unlimited paid time off. And at first, so yeah, my sales manager, I had him read the book.
Wait, say that again.
Unlimited
What?
paid time off. I know.
Are you hiring?
That would absolutely terrify most business owners. But the way I looked at it is, listen, I've hired professionals. They all want to get the job done. I've actually bought several companies, and those companies, the business owner still works for me. And what had happened is we were coming on Christmas time last year, and I had bought a business, and one of the business owners, he needed to take a couple of days off for Christmas, and he didn't have any time left. And here I am. Oh, you don't have any time left to take for Christmas. I mean, that sounds ridiculous to me. Yeah. So, I said, forget it. Unlimited pay time off January 1 forward. And so far it's been great.
So
I
January,
haven't had anyone abuse it.
Christmas off, but next Christmas he will.
Exactly. Yeah, no, we made him work Christmas. No.
Yeah.
But so I'll be honest, it was a little bit scary at first. And but I had faith in it, and I haven't had anyone abuse it. It's what I tell my managers is, if you need to take a day off, make sure someone's there to cover your job. If you're a project manager and you've got 4 or 5 roofs going on that day, make sure another project manager is there to cover it. And then when they want to take a day off, make sure you cover them. And it's all about helping each other. So that was the very first thing I did after reading this book. The second thing is I started a program or division of my company called Yes We Care. And that division, we've put on several roofs for free. We've built wheelchair ramps. We've done several projects this year, and that was a way for us to give back to the community. And then the other program that we started was a program called 180, and it's a program that is Christ-centered. It's a program for guys that are coming out of jail or formerly addicted, and they enter this program. They work for us, and they're being trained in how to budget, simple, financial goals, on the job training, how to build a deck, how to put a roof on. We do lawn maintenance as well. My company does full exterior, so we do everything from lawn maintenance to put on roofs. And I've got guys in every division. And so that was kind of the big third thing that we started. And the whole point of starting these things was not only to give back to the community, but it was to give my other employees something to care about. Yeah. And Justin and I have had a lot of private conversations about how do we retain employees, how do we make guys want to be here and work for us. And I think that's a big part of it. We got to pay them right, but we also have to give them something to be proud of as an organization, and that's what we're trying to do.
You got to create a culture.
Yeah, that culture. Yep.
Yeah. I'll say I've been around a lot of different roofing companies. I went out to, it's been 2 or 3 months ago that I was out, probably 2 months ago that I was out at your office in Johnson City. And I'll say, I got to interact with a lot of your employees, a lot of your salespeople and project managers and that type of thing. And everybody there was working. They weren't like, hey, let's go hang out and just chat or whatever. They were about their work. And they were about, taking care of business, and nobody was like, oh yeah, let's go take advantage of this system. It's the whole adage of your vibe attracts your tribe or whatever. If you're being generous with people and you're being fair with people and treating them the way that you would like to be treated, you want to be able to take off Christmas to hang out with your kids, or go fishing, or
first day of school,
or all these things or whatever. And so I think that respect gets returned on the other side. So I can definitely see why that works where you're at, and I'd love to see other roofing companies at least experiment with that. This book, this book is, I think, $20. Like a lot of these books that we've been reading, right? They're like about $20. If you're not going to go hire a consultant, do this big training program or whatever, go spend $20 and read something that's going to change your business in a positive way. And I would say he introduces ways that you can experiment with these things. They have like one of the aspects he talks about taking a FedEx day where once a month everybody takes a day and then go work on whatever they want. And it can be like, maybe it's, somebody's frustrated with one of the forms that you use and they go redesign that form in the day. Like they could do that. Or they could go clean up around the side of the shop if they wanted to. They can do whatever they want, but they got to deliver something to you. The return on that is you're tapping into the creativity that people have to get things done that maybe aren't part of their square job description, that are outside of their job description, but their ingenuity wants to take care of it. And you're giving them that avenue to do it. Pay them like you normally pay them to do their normal job, but let them be creative. And, I think that's one of the huge aspects here. Guys, jump in here. What else do you want to share about what you've learned here?
I think we're all afraid to talk at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody but Thomas?
It's funny that you were talking in the beginning about how, because I have 3 kids as well. I have 4. One of them lives with his mom and he's 18. And when you said about taking out the trash, you don't want to pay them $1 for taking out the trash. When I was a boy, fear was the motivator. Because if I didn't take out the trash, I was getting a whooping. So I was motivated by fear when I was a boy.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yep.
Pain can solve things.
Yeah. But now, it's being a man of God myself, it's all about serving him, and you serve him best by serving others in the industry, serving homeowners. And something I've taken away just from reading the scriptures is that, God created the heavens and the earth. He rested on the 7th day. He didn't work 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, and then have a nap. He worked 6 days straight and then he rested. So I take that work ethic and I put it here at Roofer, and I work hard to serve the roofing industry. I had a text last night from someone down in Lake Charles, Louisiana. It's like ground zero in the hurricane right now. And they needed a measurement. They had no internet service down there. So I got up out of bed. I came downstairs. I did the measurement for them, called them up, gave them their measurements over the phone. I get more satisfaction out of doing something like that than any check anybody could write me,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But how do you implement that as a business owner, though? How do you put that into practice and get your employees to try to do that? That would be the difficult thing, as you guys know.
When I heard Thomas talking about his rollout, as an employee, if I was involved in that team, it provides like immediate trust in your employer. Like think of every job you've ever had. You don't ever really trust your boss. You don't ever really like your boss. You like the paycheck, and sometimes you don't even necessarily like the work. But if you give someone unlimited paid time off, you're looking up the chain and you're like, they're treating me like an equal, or they're giving me that freedom, that autonomy that they talk about. There was the church that I go to here did a thing one week about lifting the lid, and it was about like you set the expectations for people at a certain place. If you lift the lid and take that lid off, the expectations have the ability to grow and move beyond where you may have set that bar. By giving people that ability and that freedom, the back and forth trust that's created, and when he talked about covering each other's shifts, the communication and trust that probably happens internally as well. Like, I just started getting giddy, man, because like that, Radford said culture, like that's going to create a culture that is, I mean, untouchable. everyone trusting each other, covering each other's back. There's no additional incentive being provided other than the autonomy and freedom to be with your family. So respect for my family, to be with your kids, to be with like mental health day, things that other companies right now are saying you get 4 or 5. My wife just had our second child a couple weeks ago, and can't use vacation time, short-term disability, back in 12 weeks, no other options. Like it's the complete opposite of paid time off and trust and autonomy and just that culture you're creating, man. And when those people, if they leave you, right, and you manage them and encourage them to fly out of the nest, all you're going to do is have these little spores of this culture going all across the industry. You're going to create a web of contacts and trust that's just going to last you a lifetime, man. That's awesome, but it was probably, like you said, a huge risk, a fear of kind of opening that door. But it's cool to hear that it's worked out for you. That's awesome.
Well, to me, that what you're talking about with taking that lid off, I'm not a very smart man. I'm a business owner. I hire my weaknesses. And Matt, you agreed way too fast on that. But so I hire my weaknesses, and I hired that person for a reason. So if I hire you to work for my company and I trust you with that task, I know you're going to do it better than me, and I trust you to do it. I don't need to stay on top of you and micromanage you because I hired you for that position. So creating that trust and reciprocating it. I mean, I think that's key with a business owner. That I've created that position for you. I've hired you to feel that weakness, and that's what it's all about. And I think a lot of business owners get stuck with, oh wow, they're not coming in at 8 o'clock. Like, what are they doing? I never have to worry. I'll come into my office. I'll roll in sometimes at 9 o'clock. I don't know who's working. They're all doing they're all doing their job. I don't have to sit there and stress out and is he doing this job or is she doing that job? The jobs are getting done. So
I would say that culture is a huge differentiator. Like Matt Gorman was saying, with all those people that work for you, that sell roofing, right? There's other roofing companies in your area, other roofing companies in the world. And I see so many companies get into the bidding war with salespeople, right? They'll steal somebody away because they're going to give them 5% more commission or whatever it is, lower overhead or different profit split or whatever. And it usually doesn't work out. But if all you have to offer this person is money, any other roofing company can come along and offer them a little bit more money. Mm-hmm. If you're offering, yes, you have to offer them money. It's a job. They got to pay their bills. But if you offer them money and you offer them a culture where they're valued and you care as much about them getting to go to their kids' little league practice as you going to your kids' little league practice, then that's something that other roofing company isn't going to be able to offer. And while that money is great, the people who you probably want working for you are going to value that culture that you have more so than a little bit more money. And those guys that want just a little bit more money instead of a good way of life, let them leave. Right? Justin, I know as a roofing company owner, I've talked to several of your employees personally, and just blown away by you've got some really, really great people. And I know you've had sometimes some companies that are just weasels trying to steal employees. And what do you think about using the motivation 3.0 that he talks about in this book to retain employees?
I always go back to like Ready Roofing at its core when we first started it, and I was hiring my friends, And they saw sort of what I had going on, and then other people coming on board, and they weren't coming over for the money. You know, we were solving a problem for them, and we were retaining people left and right. I mean, there's probably a dozen or so people there that are still my friends to this day. And a lot's changed over there. We've become a little bit more corporate over time, and things have changed. But I just keep going back to Ready Roofing and why everybody came there in the first place. And, and that touches my heart. And it didn't have anything to do with money. It was, hey, look at what Justin's got going on, man. They're having fun over there. They're like building roofs. And, I talked to Justin a couple of times. He says, you don't even have to know anything about it. You can get into it. And it's just, we keep going back to that. And we like to pay people well too. No doubt, but there's other things that we offer, a lot of people talk about culture left and right. It gets thrown out so much these days. Sometimes it almost makes me sick, but, having a good culture is very important. That's actually one thing I learned from Paul Reed and Kim Reed. And, we have that at Ready Roofing where everybody's just more like a family type of environment. And, sometimes people don't work out. Sometimes people leave for various reasons, and sometimes people get fired, whatever it may be. But ultimately, it started out as just a family experience, and we were able to really retain all of our original core, really, honestly, to this day, and then grow upon that and keep retaining, not because of the money, because of what we had to offer internally as like a roofing family, if you will, Yeah. And I think it's pretty easy to lose over time, especially when you do involve money. And I can definitely see that now, especially after reading this book. But you had mentioned, the weasel incident where some folks or one person in particular had jumped ship, and that's okay because not everybody fits the mold, right? And they're not really a part of what we have going on. But and they leave because it's very attractive, and then sometimes they get over there on the other side, and the grass is greener on the other side because it's fertilized crap, manure, and so sometimes that's the case. Yeah. And you don't realize that till you get over there and you start digging into that grass. So, but I'll be honest with you. I don't remember the 3.0 part. I remember the 2.0 part. If you can refresh me, I'll answer it. I'll finish it.
The 2.0 was the carrot and the stick.
Yeah, I remember that.
The 3.0 was
learning, creativity, and bettering the world.
Yeah, being able to motivate with intrinsic motivators. And so I think, like you said, when you first started, right, you were creating this business, and your friends that came in alongside you, they're having to tap into their creativity to find solutions to make all this work. And like you said, you can kind of poison the well by paying people for certain things that maybe they would have done just to do them, to help the business, it's going to help them, but it's going to help everybody in the company or whatever. And sometimes it poisons, like you talked about the Tom Sawyer painting the fence or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, he's like, no, I'll let you paint part of this if you give me your apple. Like, otherwise, like if you had said like, hey, I'll give you this money to paint the fence. Oh, okay, well, I'll do it. It's work. But if you look at it like, hey, this is a product, you get to do this work or whatever. It's more of a just turns it on its head. So,
well, what's amazing is I think a lot of us start off like what Justin was talking about. He had motivation 3.0 and didn't even realize it. That intrinsic value was he was having fun. He was solving problems. Yeah. He was starting a company. It was growing like crazy. All of his friends wanted to join. That's the motivation 3.0. And then what happens is, at least I'll speak for myself as a business owner, you're like, oh, I got to reward all this. And, you go back to motivation 2.0 where the carrot and the stick, and it almost takes away the fun because now you're getting paid for it. And he gave an example of an artist that was, I think, painting pictures, and they were selling for, tens of thousands. And then, somebody said, hey, I want you to paint this for me. And it completely ruined their creativity. It put a bad taste in their mouth. They didn't want to paint. And that's what happens, I think, with a lot of businesses is you have all that creative, you have all that fun, you have that culture, and then bam, we're all making money, and now it's business.
Yeah, I would say
ruined. No.
with all the roofers that are going to check this out and have for whatever decades been money, 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 money. That's what motivates me. That's what motivates my people. That's the only way. I think this is going to be the most controversial topic that we've talked about. But I want to know, Thomas, you're kind of the star of this episode here. Yeah, look at you. And if anybody wants to go have unlimited paid time off,
bring it.
I'm happy where I'm at.
Yeah. Can I work remotely and take 365 days of time off? Kidding. But
I feel like you already do.
I did, yeah. Can you share if you were a roofing company across the country that, one of my viewers here that is looking at this like, okay, like how do I actually do that? What would be your first steps? I know your first steps were doing the unlimited paid time off. What would be your first steps to dip your toe in the water and make this happen at a roofing company that's always been Motivation 2.0? You do work, I pay you. If this, then that.
Well, and that's tough because of the way a lot of these businesses are structured. They're 1099 reps. They can take as much time off as they want.
It's true.
So it all goes back to how the business is structured. And I structured my business this way on purpose. And now, I'm motivating this way on purpose. But the first thing I would do is give your people, the voice to find something fun to do, and give back to the community. And it may be that your entire team starts raising money for X, and as the sales team goes out and sells, they say, what, I appreciate you buying your $20,000 roof for me. Would you like to donate $200 towards this or whatever? Give them something to feel good about, because at the end of the day, yeah, they sell that $20,000 roof. It's going to make them feel great because they just made whatever, however much commission. But if they know they're doing something good for the community, that right there is what is going to help them sleep good at night. They feel good about themselves. They feel good about what they're doing. They feel good about the company. And I don't want to by any means think that we're doing it right, because we've got all these goals, and we're still learning ourselves. We started different divisions. We had a group of guys that were going to help senior living, and we had a different group that was going to help veterans, and a different group that was going to help the homeless. And right now we're so busy, we've even struggled to do some of that. But it's having something for your employees to look forward to, and not about making money. So
very cool. Guys, I want to go back over to Matt. Give me your final thoughts here as we wrap up. Matt Radford.
Well, I'm just listening to all you guys. Like, what it boils down to me is like when you work for a good company that treats you with respect, treats you like an equal, it does wonders for mental health. Like I've suffered from depression and anxiety, and I'm 9 years sober now. I'm an alcoholic, and since I've been treated like an equal and been treated with respect, my level has increased dramatically. Like I used to say I'm 35 going on 20, because that's where I was emotionally and spiritually, and just having an employer treat me like an equal has helped me grow in ways that you can't even imagine, ways that you can't even see. So not just from a production standpoint, but from a personal standpoint, when you invest in your employees like that, you can change their lives. Yeah, Roofer has done so much for me. Working from home, being able to be with my family all the time, not being chained to a punch clock and feel like a slave. It's been liberating, to be honest. It's
so
great.
COVID didn't do this to you?
What's that?
COVID didn't do this to you?
No, I've been working from home for a while now. I worked for Mr. Roof Repair in Toronto for a few years too as a sales rep, and I was working from home. And they were a little bit more rigorous in what I had to do and stuff like that, but I still had the freedom. But then starting with Roofer, it's really opened up a whole new world of opportunity and freedom for me.
And it makes you probably want to pass that on to the people who are in your organization as well, to feel that free. I mean, you talk about like the mental illness side of it, like depression, PTSD, anxiety. So many people have that these days, man. If you give people the opportunity to be autonomous and show them that they can, or show them that they're capable, because who knows how long they've lived in that box for every job that they've had before they walked in your door. Like you said, man, that gift is, there's no money in the world that can really challenge that gift.
That's a great explanation of just sort of being selfless and giving back, like basically what we're talking about. Matt's helped me out before, just comments, Radford, just small things here and there, man. It makes a huge difference in someone's life. So, and that's very rewarding. I've done it as well,
And
do you notice how when you say the name Matt, everybody in the top row smiles because they don't know what Matt you're talking about?
Just call me Radford. Everybody calls me Radford.
Right.
It's also helped me give something back to my children that I never had. We had a pretty good life up until I was 10 years old. My little brother died of cancer, and my whole family fell apart, and I grew up without a dad. So now I'm able to be a positive role model for my children that I never had and give them the childhood that I never had, basically. And it's all because I have an employer that respects me and treats me like a person, not a number.
Yeah. So Matt, you said this is probably the most controversial book review that you'll do, and I agree with you. So my challenge would be to all the business owners that are watching, think about what makes you drive. Your personal, as a business owner, as an employee. What are the things that, why are you going? And when you think about those things, it's hardly ever money. It's if you're a dad, I want to see my kids play t-ball, or, I want to go to the beach with my family. I want this for my kids. I want that for my wife. I want that for my family. And the reason why we do it is not money. Money is the vehicle that we have to provide these things that we want for our family. So if you really think about, what you want, it's typically not the money, it's the time with the family. And that is what this book is about. And if you can convert your mind to think that's what my employees need too. My employees need the money, but they need the time to go watch their daughter's volleyball game. They need the time to go to the first day of school with their kindergartner. If you can change the way of thinking to it's not always about the money, and think about those things that your employees have that are important to them, that'll help you understand this book.
Yeah.
I think
Justin had mentioned like, hey, man, this like really challenged me. What am I going to do for recruiting now? I think we've gotten to the answer here. Is the answer in terms of recruiting for anybody is you're able to differentiate yourself, and you're going to attract those people. So if you have one of your sales guys that gets to have a whole full life and spend time with his family and do the things that he wants to do, and he can make good money and he can work hard when he's on the clock and all those things, he's going to tell all his friends, and he's going to bring people in, and people are going to go, you know what, they've got it different over there. I want to go work with where their culture is like that. So guys, I don't want the show to drag on too much longer. Anybody else have something that they want to add before we wrap up? I've got a few things I want to touch on at the very end.
I was just going to touch on the culture thing that Justin was talking about when he said the words getting thrown around so much. The positive to the culture is the culture will also help you weed out people who aren't a good fit for that family, right? Justin talked a lot about family. Thomas was building that culture. But once that culture is established, the people who aren't a good fit for the family, the people who won't cover that project manager shift, or the people who won't get involved in the altruistic projects, they'll find their way out the door because the culture kind of takes care of itself. It's almost self-sustaining just by giving them that autonomy that the book was talking about. But anyway, great conversation, great ideas. Thank you guys for having me on here. This has been it's been a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I appreciate everybody taking the time to be on this, taking the time to read the book or listen to the book. And again, Thomas, thanks for sharing your experiences here and bringing this topic up. I'm going to, I had put out an offer on our Facebook earlier this week for, I was going to give away 10 copies of this book, whether that's hard copies or Audible downloads or whatever. And I had like 4 people take me up on that. And like, I really appreciated what this is offering. And so I want to make sure, David in the comments here, he was one of those 4 people. I think I've sent him like a dozen books now over the years. And so I love it. But if you're one of the roofing contractors who's watching this and going, I'd read that. Shoot me a message. Let me know whether you'd like to have the hard copy or the digital download. And I'll need either physical address or your email address for either one of those. And I'll send it over to you. I'll pay for it. I'll send it over to you. No strings attached. Because I want to put this in people's hands. If you're going to read it, if you're going to get the book and then sit it on the shelf, like all these books, and not read them, then don't waste my money. But wanted to put that offer out there, guys. Shoot me that message. Next 6 people that do that, I'll pay for the book. If not, it's $20. Go buy it. I want to introduce next week's episode, where we are reading Foundations of Sustainable Business, Theory, Function, and Strategy. And this was written by John Wood and Nada Sanders. And it's actually a textbook. So John Wood, as many of you know, is an industry lawyer and super smart guy. Wrote this book with, I believe that's his wife's name. Who, if not, I'm sure he'll correct me. But we're going to be diving into this along with TJ McCormick at Bright Street Energy. And if you're in the roofing space and you're not looking at the implications of solar, of wind, of all those things that tie into what we're doing, you should check out that next episode, see what's going on here. I think there's some huge implications here. There's some ways that we're getting roofs paid for that insurance won't pay for, and we're able to lump them in and finance them with sustainable energy solutions, and then get a tax credit on the whole thing. Loads of ways that you guys can expand your business, and something for us to tap into. So that was, like I said, I committed to reading this textbook in a week that was written by a lawyer. And so I've got a huge week ahead of me. You guys, in the comments, leave your thoughts on this episode, what you think of it. Share it with your friends. If you're at one of those places that only incentivizes you with money, be bold and share it with your boss. Let them see it as well. And until next week, Thursday at 3:00, we'll see you guys later.